Hi, I'm Ginny Thacker. I work for CIWM. Just to start with, can we have a bit of background about how you got into the job that you're doing at the moment? Because you work for a local authority, is that right?
Yeah, I work for Broxtowe Borough Council. I've always been interested in the environment and how we can best protect it, which is why I chose to do a degree in environmental analysis and monitoring a long time ago now. After graduating, didn't have much success in trying to find a role within the environmental sector. But then my college tutor rang up and said, we've got a local authority that's after a recently graduate that wants somebody to take on sort of a waste and recycling remit. And that began my start in terms of waste management and a very long career within local authority sector. So 27 years to at the moment.
And is that the same local authority that you're at now, or was it somewhere else?
No, so for the first 22 years of my career, so I was at between Errol Borough Council and Broxtowe. There I had a sort of a wide-ranging waste and recycling remit, dealt with their curbside schemes, the implementers, the fortnightly collections when they all came in, sort of dealt with all of that, waste contractors, engagement, training, all sorts of things. And majority of that time was spent at Broxtowe. And I was able to work part-time because I was able to balance sort of being a mum to two boys, and then obviously having a bit of a career within waste management as well, which was really, really important to me. I didn't want to come out of this sector. I wanted to stay within that because getting back into it, I was worried that it was going to be difficult getting back in. So when my boys were old enough, I decided, right, I'm going to focus on my career. And I wanted to move somewhere. I love Broxtowe, but I wanted to widen my environmental remit because it was very, very waste and recycling focused. So this is when I went to Nottingham Trent University as their environmental compliance and waste manager. Wide-ranging things, looked after ISO 14001, environmental compliance across the university, 3 different campuses. Brilliant. Had a great time. Still very strong connections with the university there. Then after that, moved to Rushcliffe Borough Council as their team manager for environment. Just after moving to Rushcliffe, obviously at Rushcliffe, my remit was climate change. And I moved away from waste management, which I'm incredibly passionate about. Obviously, I'm a chartered waste manager. A job came up at Broxtowe. It was the perfect fusion for me in terms of waste management and climate change, that bigger sort of environmental remit. And I decided to go for it, got the job, and I've now been back at Broxtowe for just over a year as their waste and climate change manager.
I know that you're also chartered with CIWM. When did you become chartered?
So became chartered in 2020, actually, during when everything was in lockdown. Decided that I got really good support from Nottingham Trent University. My manager there was saying, this is something you need to do. I've been a member of CIWM for a while, but only as an associate. She said, you need to take that the step further. You need to become chartered. And it was like, you feel a bit nervous, but I took the plunge and was successful.
When did you decide to become Chartered Environmentalist?
At the time of undertakers, obviously CIWM did the workshops to become a chartered waste manager. Now, at that workshop, they talked about becoming a chartered environmentalist. Now, they were saying that some people did the process at the same time. I'm so glad I did not do that. But obviously, for lots of other people, it became kind of the natural progression so once you became chartered waste manager, it was then to move on kind of a next step to become a chartered environmentalist. And it was like, yes, I definitely want to demonstrate that in terms of that wider knowledge, that wider competence within the environmental sector.
And what was the process like for you?
I wanted to go for it last year, but I just started back at Broxtowe and I wanted to kind of focus on that role. And I'm very glad I did, because the process actually was fine, but it does take a bit of time, and you do need to put a lot of thought into, especially that written application, because the mistake I made initially when I put my first draft together was that my focus was very, very much on waste management. When you're undertaking the application for Chartered Environmentalists, you have to think much wider, the much wider environmental remit. So that took some time to get put together and get right.
We should say congratulations. When did you become a Chartered Environmentalist?
About a month or so ago.
Yay. So well done. Congratulations.
I feel I should have done it a long time ago. I kind of regret, you shouldn't have any regrets, but I kind of regret not doing that and being a bit more confident in myself that I was able to take myself through the process. I was very worried it was going to be really difficult. I was going to find it very stressful. And it was none of those things. Putting the application together, you just need to take your time.
I presume you have an interview at the end of the process.
Once I found out my application got through that first stage, then it was a kind of prep for the interview and the presentation, because obviously you're undertaking a presentation on your career to date, basically.
Did you have sort of a mentor working with you?
So process slightly different to being a chartered waste manager. So for a chartered waste manager, I found a mentor from the CIWM, or the mentor platform, which was brilliant. They were able to support me through that process, give me the real loads of confidence. And then I had two sponsors that were already chartered waste managers. For Chartered Environmentalist, I had two sponsors that were colleagues, because they need to read through your report and sign off to say that work is your own. And I was also very lucky that I had a really supportive manager that was able to help me sort of look through my application and sort of talk through the things that I need to cover within my presentation.
So what would be your top tips then?
So my top tips are making sure that you're up to date with anything that's happening environmentally. Make sure you do that reading before your interview. I mean, you know that, but kind of make sure your knowledge is up to date. Make sure your presentation is no more than 10 minutes. Make it nice and punchy. Make sure that what you present is visual. Obviously, my interview was virtual. So you want to be making sure that your interviewers are seeing something very nice, picture form. Don't put loads of words on the slide. You're going to be doing the talking. And obviously practice. Now that seems a bit bizarre, but make sure that you start well with your presentation. It builds a really nice foundation for the rest of your interview. And if you go in and kind of pitch a very positive, very punchy presentation, that sets you up for the rest of your interview. So there are my top tips.
Did you feel confident when you were going through that interview process?
The team were absolutely amazing. And, for anybody that was worried, I was really worried about how that would go. They focus very much on your career. They ask you your opinions. They're not there. The team aren't there to make you trip up. They're there to support you. And it was, the questions they asked were very much based around my job, my current role, and my career to date. These are all things that you are confident with them. Be confident that you know your stuff.
It's nice to sort of show your expertise in the field that you're working in.
And with other people that are just as passionate about the environment and the waste sector as you are, which is fantastic. You don't get that opportunity very often. So it was really nice to have that experience. And it ended up being a really, for me, a really positive process.
What would you say the benefits are to you now being chartered?
To me personally, it's very much a fact that I'm able to demonstrate that I've reached a certain level of competence within my career. To me, from a work situation, it's able to demonstrate to those around or that I work with that I've also reached that level of competence, and hopefully gives them some assurance in terms of the decisions and the kind of the leadership that I would need to give, that I need to give with regards to climate change, because that's one area that I lead on currently at Broxtowe, that I have got the background and the knowledge to kind of deliver on my actions and what I put forward. So hopefully it will help to demonstrate all of that.
If you could talk to Emma 22 years ago then, what would you say to yourself 22 years ago, knowing what you know now?
I would say, be more confident. You know that you can do that. I should have gone for that 22. Well, obviously give myself a little bit of time. but I should have done this a long, long time ago. But be confident in that. You believe in your ability, and that's what I would say to myself, and not leave it so long, because it has opened doors. It has opened networking opportunities. People see those letters, and for a long time I wasn't using those letters after my name, but then I've started to do that, and I've found that it's opened doors and open conversations with people that are in the same sector, and it's like, oh, it's nice to see that you're, and then that's opened more doors. It's been brilliant. Yeah, absolutely, it's opened that conversation.
How important do you think Chartered Environmentalist status is for the sector?
It does sort of demonstrate that you're thinking wider than just waste management, and there's nothing wrong in that. But for me, it was really important that I was able to demonstrate for the sector that I can think much broader than just the waste management, that there's all these different elements in terms of environmentally that we need to identify, manage and mitigate, and I'm able to demonstrate that we can do that. So it is really important.
And then I presume, a bit like being chartered with CIWM, you've got CPD that you have to sort of keep up to date. Is that how long's that a year? How many hours do you have to commit to that?
I think around 30 hours that you need to commit to that. But you just need to make sure that you're logging down everything that you do, every webinar that you attend, some reading that you do, if you attend a conference that you do. I mean, I'm lucky enough sort of coming up, I've got some development coming up in terms of ILM training, and also my COTC for the waste site that I oversee. So I'll be doing that. That will all count towards that. So it's anything that you do, but make sure that every bit you do, you log down every time you do it.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating until leaving it until the last minute, is there?
No, that's it. And it's like, oh no, I need to demonstrate. No, when you've done it, put it on your log.
What would you say to them now?
Do it. Don't do what I did and leave it goodness knows how many years. It will benefit you massively. And I think you will grow in confidence from having gone through that process, because it's kind of a validation of where you sit right now. In terms of that's all the advice I can offer. Believe in yourself. You can do that.
Can I ask why you left it so long?
It was confidence. And I was so worried about the process, the interview. It all seems really, from my point of view, and lots of people might be okay with it, I thought, oh, this is really, really scary. And I don't know whether, can I do it? Will I be successful? I don't want to do it and then fail. I don't want to make myself look silly, if that makes sense, because I've been in the sector for so long.
You seem really confident now. And has it given you that? Do you feel, whereas before you felt like you lacked confidence, do you feel now that you've got that confidence that, I'm Chartered Environmentalist, I'm Chartered Waste and Resource? Has it done that for you? Yeah,
no, definitely. I mean, it's a long time coming, and I would say to anybody, don't leave it as long as me before applying, but it's just having, it's like, oh, I'm really worried about how things are going to go. Yes, it's definitely given me the confidence. And as I said, I didn't used to use the letters after my name in my email signature, but a few years ago started to do that, and I've found that by doing so and adding these extra ones for becoming Chartered Environmentalist has opened up doors. It started to open up networks. It started to open up conversations with people already, and I haven't become a Chartered Environmentalist that long, so it's definitely one to give you that little bit of a boost.
If we're looking at people that might be watching this and thinking, should I, shouldn't I, or I'm going to put it off, what would you say to them?
Everybody says, I haven't got time. You have got the time. You need to make the time. And you will, honestly, it'll be so worth it when you've done it. And although it's quite stressful getting that application in, I shouldn't say stressful, it's a lot, it's work to do. I'm not going to say that it's not a bit of work, because it is. And so it should be, because you need to demonstrate that you've reached these competencies. So, don't leave it so long. Apply. It will be definitely worth it, but don't leave it as long as me.
Again, congratulations on getting chartered in the last month. But any final words from you?
I would just say, enjoy the process. Definitely do it. As I said, I was really nervous on the day. about being interviewed, but the team that take you through that were absolutely fantastic. They make you feel at ease, relaxed. And I actually really enjoyed my interview, talking through those issues that were really important to a group of people. And it was really nice to have that kind of conversation. It wasn't kind of the interview that I thought it was going to be, really scary, but it was a really nice sort of two-way process. It was great. So honestly, please do it.